Over 1 billion people have enrolled in online courses since 2012. 1 billion. That is more than the entire population of Europe and North America combined, all choosing to learn something new through a screen. And yet, despite that staggering number, the completion rate for most of these courses hovers around just 3 to 5%. So the real question is not whether online learning works. The real question is why it mostly does not, and what the rare exceptions are doing completely differently. In the next 10 minutes, you are going to discover how online learning went from a fringe experiment to a global industry worth hundreds of billions of dollars. You will learn about the platforms reshaping education, the data behind who actually succeeds, and the hidden structural flaw that almost every MOOC provider has quietly ignored for over a decade. And here is the thing that will genuinely surprise you: the future of online learning might look almost nothing like what it looks like today, and the reasons why will challenge everything you think you know about education itself. Let us go back to 2011. A Stanford professor named Sebastian Thrun decided to do something radical. He offered his artificial intelligence course to anyone in the world, for free, online. He expected a few thousand takers. Instead, 160,000 people from 190 countries enrolled within weeks. Thrun later said it changed his life so profoundly that he could not go back to teaching in a traditional classroom. That single experiment gave birth to Udacity, one of the first major massive open online course platforms in the world. That year became known as the unofficial beginning of the MOOC era. Within months, MIT launched MITx, which eventually became edX. Harvard joined. Then Coursera launched in 2012, co-founded by Stanford professors Andrew Ng and Daphne Koller. The New York Times declared 2012 the year of the MOOC, and suddenly the entire education world was paying attention. The premise was simple and genuinely revolutionary. Take the best professors at the best universities, record their lectures, build interactive exercises around them, and then give everyone on the planet access. Free of charge. The underlying belief was almost utopian, that access to knowledge was the only barrier separating the brilliant but underprivileged from the successful, and that the internet could simply dissolve that barrier overnight. University presidents got nervous. Futurists declared that traditional higher education would be dead within a decade. Some even predicted the end of the physical campus entirely. That did not happen. But something far more interesting did. By 2015, Coursera had over 15 million registered learners. By 2020, that number had jumped to 77 million. When the COVID-19 pandemic shut down physical campuses in early 2020, the already growing online learning industry exploded. Coursera added 16 million new users in just the first month of global lockdowns. edX reported a 400% increase in enrollment. Udemy, which focuses more on practical skills than academic courses, crossed 50 million learners worldwide. LinkedIn Learning, Skillshare, Khan Academy, Masterclass, an entire ecosystem had quietly matured while most people were still debating whether online learning was legitimate. But here is what nobody talks about when they celebrate those enrollment numbers. Signing up for a course and actually completing it are two completely different things. MIT researchers studied MOOC completion rates extensively and found that on average, only about 5% of enrolled students ever finish. In some courses, the number dips below 2%. Think about what that means at scale. If 100,000 people enroll in a course, fewer than 5,000 will see it through to the end. That is not a technology problem. That is a human behavior problem, and it is one that the industry has been surprisingly slow to solve. The reason behind those low completion rates is actually well understood by learning scientists. Human motivation requires friction, accountability, and social connection. Traditional classrooms provide all three automatically. A MOOC, by design, removes all of them. You can log in whenever you want, or never. Nobody notices if you disappear. There is no professor who will call on you, no classmates who will see you zone out, no deadline that carries real consequences. Freedom, it turns out, is the enemy of follow-through for most learners. And this is exactly where the second wave of online learning began to diverge from the first. Platforms started experimenting. Coursera introduced specializations, structured series of courses that build toward a credential, often developed in partnership with companies like Google, IBM, and Meta. These are not just academic exercises. They are designed to signal job readiness to employers. By 2023, Coursera reported that over 140 professional certificates were available, many of which led directly to employment opportunities. Google's Career Certificates program, hosted on Coursera, has had over 1 million completions, with graduates reporting median salary increases of significant magnitude within 6 months. Then there is the concept of cohort-based learning, which represents perhaps the most significant structural shift since MOOCs were invented. Instead of self-paced video libraries, cohort-based courses run in real time, with a fixed start date, a group of peers who all progress together, live sessions, and genuine deadlines. Platforms like Maven have built their entire model around this structure. And the results are dramatic. Completion rates for well-designed cohort-based courses regularly exceed 80%. That is not a coincidence. It is the reintroduction of exactly the social and accountability mechanisms that traditional classrooms always had, just delivered through a screen. Microlearning is another evolution worth examining. Rather than multi-hour lectures, platforms like Duolingo and Blinkist have built empires on lessons that take between 3 and 15 minutes. Duolingo now has over 500 million registered users and has been downloaded more times than any other education app in history. Its design is unapologetically gamified: streaks, badges, leaderboards, and instant rewards. Critics call it shallow. But the data shows something compelling. Consistency matters more than depth in the early stages of learning, and microlearning platforms are exceptionally good at building consistent habits. Whether that consistency eventually leads to genuine mastery is a legitimate debate, but dismissing the model entirely would be a mistake. Now let us talk about the economics, because they reveal a lot about where online learning is actually headed. The global e-learning market was valued at approximately $250 billion in 2020. Projections place it at over $1 trillion by 2032. That is not a niche market anymore. That is a fundamental restructuring of how humanity acquires skills and credentials. Universities are taking notice in complicated ways. Some have partnered with platforms like edX and Coursera to offer verified certificates and even fully online degrees. The University of Illinois offers an MBA entirely through Coursera for a fraction of the cost of its on-campus equivalent, with comparable employment outcomes according to its own research. Other institutions are more resistant, worried that online credentials will cannibalize their most profitable programs. Corporate learning and development has become one of the fastest-growing segments of the entire industry. Companies spent over $360 billion on employee training in 2022, and an increasing share of that budget is flowing toward platforms like LinkedIn Learning, Udemy Business, and Degree. The logic is straightforward: as technology changes faster than traditional education can adapt, companies need employees who can reskill continuously, and online platforms offer the flexibility and breadth to make that possible. Artificial intelligence is now entering the equation in ways that could genuinely transform the learning experience rather than just digitize it. Adaptive learning systems powered by AI can analyze how a student is engaging with material in real time and adjust the difficulty, pacing, and even the format of content accordingly. Canmico, the AI tutor developed by Khan Academy, uses GPT-4 to have Socratic conversations with students rather than simply giving them answers. Early results suggest meaningful improvements in both engagement and retention. If AI can approximate the one-on-one tutoring dynamic that research has consistently shown to be the most effective form of instruction, the implications for education at scale are almost impossible to overstate. The rise of online learning is not a simple story of technology replacing classrooms.